Okay, so when I did that video a while back, basically talking about all my favorite pairings in a nautical sort of term, someone asked me, I believe it was someone called Dark Gamer, it had Dark Gamer in it, but I can't remember the rest, there was more to it, I remember that much, but anyway, excuse me. They basically asked, what would be your favorite crossover pairings? Now, normally, I don't really do I kind of really like to do my own thing for the most part, but this kind of got me thinking, and I did talk about crossover pairings a long time ago, but that was an old video, and I've had some new crossover pairings that I've really gotten into, so this kind of got my mind going, this kind of got the gears in my brain going, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do a video. Also, if you're wondering why I'm having just a picture of Loki on here, the key word was that I kind of got bit by the lazy bug, and this happened. But anyway, picture aside, let's just talk about some crossover pairings, and it'll be kind of interesting to hear what you guys have to say. So the one I've been recently getting into, and this kind of correlates to the Loki picture, the one I got really interested in right after watching Frozen, and this has actually been a growing pairing online and all that, is Loki and Elsa from Frozen. Loki and Elsa makes so much sense because they're kind of like the outsider children, and they both have some very unique powers, and it's just kind of, I think this crossover pairing's been kind of put out there because you look at the world of Frozen, and it's very Nordic. It has a very Nordic, German, and Swiss background, but a lot of Norse for the most part, and hey, Norse gods, just saying, so perfect crossover pairing. Maybe you could have it you could have the pairing in a time period when Loki was still trying to be, still in his brother's shadow, and kind of encounters Elsa, and something happens. I don't know. I just think Loki and Elsa, it's such a nice pairing. It's such a sweet pairing, but it's kind of like one of those bittersweet pairings because Loki, at his core, he can't love anybody else but himself. That's kind of his thing, is that he can't love anyone. There's only one person Loki loves out of everyone else, and that's himself. So, unfortunately, that these stories, no matter what, would be like Elsa would eventually just be like a pawn to him, or he'd just leave her. Because that's kind of the tragic thing of it all. So, yeah. That's Loki and Elsa. At least that's how I see it. Another one that involving Elsa from Frozen is Zuko and Elsa. I actually think that not just because of the whole fire and ice thing. I think they would play off each other very well. They're both very sullen. They're both very. They have younger siblings who are very out there. Though Azula, in putting the term "out there" nicely, they're both very adamant. They're both very honor-bound in some ways. So I could see Zuko kind of being the obvious abrasive one in the relationship. Also, I think they're the same age. If not, I think Elsa's 1 or 2 years older than Zuko, but nah. It's fine. It's fine. So, Zuko and Elsa, that's another really one I kind of thought of, and I think a few other people have thought of Zuko and Elsa as well. Also, another one that I've recently gotten into, and this came out of a conversation from the Dragons Q&A, and I've kind of found a few little bits of fan fiction here and there. It's not really popular because of how out there it is Smaug and Daenerys. Smaug and Daenerys. It's not really, the thing is with this pairing is that it's not really romantic per se. It's kind of like a game of wits, and I really like that. It's never really romantic between these two whenever I find fan fiction of them together. It's not really romantic per se, because again, Smaug's so in love with himself, he can't really be close to anyone, let alone a human. And I kind of just like the interaction of Daenerys and Smaug talking to one another, because the thing is, like a lot of people talk of, is like Smaug doesn't really acknowledge her being the mother of dragons, because her dragons they're intelligent, but they're not on the same level of Smaug, as he's saying. Is that he's just like he's kind of insulted that these dragons just follow her will, and she has the audacity to say that she's the mother of dragons. But on the other hand, he's kind of impressed by her, just by her tenacity and whatnot. So it's not so much a romantic pairing, just more so of a pairing of that between Smaug and Daenerys. So, yeah, Smaug and Daenerys right there. Who else? There's been a lot of crossover. One that I've recently started to like, and this one's just kicking off. I found little bits and pieces of fan art here and there, is actually Mabel and Steven Universe. Mabel from Gravity Falls and Steven Universe, and of course Steven Universe. Oh, it's so adorable, because if you had them in the same universe, though, Steven would just love hanging out with Mabel, and Mabel would be like, I like him because his fat is fun. Or she would just play, they would, build that, Steven could make that force field bubble, and they'd just be rolling. He's like, I'm living the dream! Oh, man. That would be something. Because, oh my god, I would... just seeing Steven and Mabel, that pairing is so adorable, I can't help but not like it. I can't, not help but like it. That's what I'm trying to say. I really like that. So, Steven and Mabel would play off each other so well. They would have so much laughs together. They'd talk so much. So yeah, Steven and Mabel. Although, like I've said, I do like Connie and Steven, but crossover pairing-wise, Mabel and Steven. Just saying. Speaking of also Steven Universe, another crossover pairing that I've really come to love, I'm really starting to like, and this is probably out of my own little thought process here, is Pearl and the Doctor from Doctor Who. Now hold on, because when you say, oh wait, Pearl and the Doctor, I don't see that. Well, it depends on what version, because the Doctor is pretty much, can be very old. The Doctor's very old. Pearl's very old, and they're both immortal, per se. Well, the Doctor can die when his regenerations burn out, and Pearl can die from grievous injuries, but they're both technically immortal. They can both live for very long, have very long longevity, and I'm pretty sure Pearl and the Doctor would have so much to talk about. They have so much logic and have so much fun. I think it would just be fun to see, maybe not so much as a relationship, but more like boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, but more like a companion-doctor relationship, because, let's face it, Pearl would make such a great companion for the Doctor. She would be just as smart as him. She would be also the one kicking ass, while the Doctor's being like, go do that. So, yeah, the Pearl and the Doctor. Another crossover pairing that I've really come to enjoy is Katara and Aqualad from Young Justice. I really like this pairing, and it's actually Ziploc Gory got me into it. I think this works so well, of Katara and Calder. Those two would play off each other so well, and it's not because, they can both bend water. No, that's not the reason. I think Katara would be very drawn to Calder of how strong-willed he is, and how, focused he is. I think she would be really attracted to that, and I think Aqualad, being kind of sullen, the sullen person that he is, I think he would be drawn to Katara's inner strength. So I think it would start out as a friendship and then become a relationship. They would definitely Katara and Calder would definitely start as friends, and then become from being friends to boyfriend-girlfriend, and who knows from there. So Katara and Calderon. And actually, let's talk about the first crossover pairing I really love, and I still love to this day, is Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho and Raven from Teen Titans. This is my favorite crossover pairing, period. I love this pairing. It makes so much sense. They're both people who were manipulated from birth to be monsters, but they found their own way. They started out as they were pretty much meant to be these horrible, wicked monsters, but they kind of rose above their inner inhibitions and became forces of good. And they both have, a lot of dark power within them, a lot of restraint, and could easily snap because they can easily fall back in that darkness. So Raven and Hiei would have so much in common with one another. Raven and Hiei couldn't help but be attracted to one another. It would just be kind of difficult because both Raven, and I'm talking about Teen Titans animated series Raven, exact specifically. Sorry for the confusion, but you could easily see Teen Titans DC Comics Raven in a relationship with Hiei as well, because both of them have very hard times with expressing their emotions. So Hiei and Raven would be kind of like, well, fuck, how do I do this? I think it would be interesting because, again, they can't really show their emotions that well. Raven especially, because her emotions control her powers. So it would be an interesting concept to see those two trying to express their feelings for one another and kind of work around that. I've had a few others in my head. There are a few other crossover pairings that I really, really like. There are some crossover pairings that I really do like. It's really hard because I'm trying to remember them, and as of this recording, it's like 1 in the morning, so obviously my mind is off in La La Land. So this is awkward. This is pretty tough for me mentally. So yeah, I think another crossover pairing that I am starting to like is, oh damn it, I just had it. Actually, one that was really popular for a while and then it just kind of dissipated. There was one pairing that that had a lot of hype behind it, but then it just kind of dissolved, and no one's ever brought it up again. Is the Azula and Itachi pairing? There's actually, I've seen groups on DeviantArt for each Azula, because it's almost considered like a canon pairing, because again, Azula was so out there. I personally like Taizula. And even Grey Delisle has admitted she supports Taizula as well, so I think I'm alright there. But Ichazula, as it was called, was pretty much Itachi from Naruto and Azula. And it made so much sense because they were siblings who tried to kill their other siblings, and they were great prodigies, they were mentally unstable, and they could easily work with one another. But the problem was that, I guess what caused the dissipation was what we found out with, because again, I haven't really watched Shippuden or followed the rest of the mangas of Naruto, but what happened with what we find out with the truth about Itachi, that kind of caused what made that pairing kind of dissolve. But it still kind of gets some love here and there. It still gets a little love, a little back and forth love here and there. So yeah, each has Azula and Itachi. It's one to like. There's another one that I really enjoyed. Now I'm forgetting it. Shit. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just drawing a blank because, again, like I said, it's 1 in the morning on my end as of this recording. That is, and my mind is just kind of off. So pardon me if I just had like the total blank right there. But yeah, I've got so many other crossover pairings that I really like. But that's just to name a few because I don't know. Like I've always liked that idea of what if these two characters actually met and what would they be like in a relationship. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. What are your favorite crossover pairings? I really want to know you guys' favorite crossover pairings. I've seen some really interesting ones. I've seen some really unique ones. And in a lot of sense that I could see these making sense. So I really want to see you guys' favorite. And again, I apologize for just drawing a lot of blanks in this video. I was just like, seriously, I'm really tired. So, but I wanted to get this video out before I was like, shit. So yeah. Anyway, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see what you guys have in terms of crossover pairings. Anyway, that does it. Later.